Hello, everyone. I'm Karen Johnson, the U.S. Census Bureau Administrator for the Federal Statistical Research Data Center at Texas A&M University, or the Texas RDC. Over the next few minutes, I'll highlight some available data, where to find data sets, the proposal process, timelines, and practical considerations. If you'd like more information about the RDC and starting a project, please be in touch with me. So first off, I would like to start with describing the various advantages of the RDC and access to the RDC to you. First and foremost, of course, you can analyze microdata that are not available publicly. What this means is that you can request and access data sets that include key variables that are not available in public versions of data sets, such as fine geographic units like census tracts, or even sensitive health information. You can also request more complete data sets, such as full population samples or full population counts or larger samples. You can also get original responses that are available prior to editing and processing, such as detailed race answers and income that's not already been top coded. And of course, you can request detailed versions of many variables, such as requesting 5-digit indiscrete codes. And of course, you can link data. You can link internal restricted data to external data using geocodes or establishment IDs. You can also join together and link other internal restricted data sets to one another. So you may ask what kind of data do we have in the RDCs? The RDCs host a variety of projects grounded in a variety of disciplines. Researchers can apply to use the large array of data sets we have available. So for example, the Census Bureau provides economic data, demographic data, and employer-employee data. Health agencies also host their data projects at the RDC, such as the AHRQ and NCHS. We also have other agencies who choose to have their data hosted at the RDC, such as the Bureau of Economic Analysis, BEA, and the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we do have a lot of data sets, and we have a lot of new data sets that become available all the time. What I would recommend is to consult with me, your friendly neighborhood RDC administrator, to inquire about what data sets are available. The reason I suggest this is because some data sets are available, but they're not publicized. Other important information about data sets are often not public, and so it's easy to talk to me. That way we can get all the information that you need to you directly. So you may ask, where do I even start? Of course, I would suggest to start here at research.data.gov. Once you click research.data.gov, it will take you to a landing page, and in the search bar, I would suggest typing in a data set or a variable of interest. And that way you can start to see what different restricted as well as public data sets are available to you. You may also want to explore census data. If you're a health researcher, you can look at NCHS, AHRQ, you can look at the BEA or even the BLS. So what I would say is, even if you're just starting to look around, I would navigate you to the Texas RDC webpage, because it's a great starting point to look at, because it provides you a lot of these different links that I just listed. And on this slide, I've given you a lot of different starting points. So with that, I want to take a moment and describe the 6 phases of an RDC project. Of course, first and foremost is drafting your proposal. This is when I work with you to develop your research idea into a suitable RDC project. This involves putting together a theoretical foundation for your research question, relevant literature, identifying the internal as well as external data sets necessary to operationalize your theory, and of course, estimating what or identifying what your estimation strategies are. Of course, most importantly, from the census's perspective, I provide the most guidance to you when helping identify the specific benefits to the census that your work will produce. Step 2 is, once your proposal is strong and has clear benefits, I will submit the proposal on your behalf for census review. Step 3 is if your proposal is approved, it can be asked for revision or it can be declined. If your proposal is approved, you and the other researchers who intend to work in the RDC will need to apply for special sworn status, which is a security designation that you will need in order to work in the RDC. Once you pass the SSS background check, I will provide you an orientation to the lab as well as issue your badge to get you started. One note I would put here about SSS processing is that it differs for every single researchers. For example, foreign nationals, the processing time takes a bit longer. Standard SSS processing timeline is about 3 to 4 months, whereas foreign national processing application time can take more than 6 months. So from there, for step 4, after your SSS is approved, then you can be begin working in the RDC. An RDC project timeline is typically about 5 years. And yes, I know this seems like a long time, but it does allow you the time needed to clean, analyze, and even return back to the project if you have a review and resubmit, revise and resubmit. Step 5 is once you have completed a round of analyses, you'll prepare a disclosure memo to get statistical output through disclosure avoidance review. And of course, step 6 is at the end of your project, you'll be expected to produce a working paper for the census's working paper series, and of course, provide any other promised benefits to the census. So with these 6 steps, I would put one caveat here that with NCHS projects and external agency projects, they do similar project writing processes, but those go directly with the agency. For example, NCHS proposals go directly to NCHS and they're not done directly with me. So with that being said, the entire proposal package has 3 components. First, of course, your project description. And what you would do to start is you would prepare a 2 to 3 page summary of your research idea, and you would submit that to me to get started. Then we would register your project on research.data.gov, and then from there, we would develop your full project description using a template. And this project proposal is usually about 15 to 25 pages and a maximum of 30. And you and I will work together over multiple rounds of revision until we are both satisfied that together your project description is where it needs to be. So the second component of your packet is something called the benefits, and we will work together to identify the benefits to the Census Bureau. Most projects need 2 benefits, and again, I say most because, for example, if you have a NCHS project, you don't have any census benefits because it's not a census project. But what we would do is I would help you write a predominant purpose statement, or a PPS. It's also called a benefit statement. You explain in detail how you intend to meet that benefit. And of course, step 3, or the third thing, is you will have 1 descriptive paragraph to submit as your project's abstract. The process from first contacting me to beginning work in the RDC can take up to 1 year. For example, project approval for the census data sets can take up to 3 months. If you require another agency, such as IRS, to review the packet, it could take a number of additional months. And if you are applying or have a foreign national to apply for special sworn status, that application and badge granting can take up to another 3 to 6 months. And of course, unfortunately, you can't start your SSS application until your project has been approved, but you can speed up the process by communicating and responding quickly to email requests and to get your application and your proposal submitted as soon as possible. Lastly, if you're considering starting a project at the TXRDC, you will need to consider a few requirements. First is computing is done in person. It is not remote. What this means is that you must come in person to the secure lab on the Texas A&M campus. Data and software are hosted on Census Bureau servers, And so what this means is that you can bring in external public data or your own user-written programs, but the things that you request, such as programs or data sets, will be placed on your project space, and you'll access those through the census servers. Essentially, what you can think about this is the RDC is a gateway to access data for the project. What it's like to actually work in the RDC is that you will come into the lab, you will log into a thin client or a computer terminal, which then connects to the Census Linux servers. It'll be essentially like logging into a desktop inside of a desktop on a computer. So within the Linux environment, there's many standard applications that you would typically use, such as R, Stata, SAS, SPSS, Geoda, and so on. You can also use Python. You can also use the various different applications that are already hosted within the virtual environment. What I would note is that the Census Bureau workstations, the hardware and software has its limitations. Like, for example, we suggest to run batch programs instead of working interactively because it uses less shared resources. And what this means is that the lab is a shared computing resource. The computing infrastructure is actually used simultaneously by researchers across the country. The RDC is strictly controlled environments in which researcher behavior is governed by rules to ensure confidentiality of sensitive microdata. Any analysis output taken out of the lab must follow strict disclosure protocol. In other words, nothing leaves the lab, not even one little piece of paper, without prior approval. So with that, I will end and say, if you have an idea, please contact us. What we can do is we can help you brainstorm ideas. We can help you identify data sets and variables. We can also assess your project's feasibility and timeline. And of course, I can help you identify the benefits you need to satisfy the Census Bureau's requests. I can also process your risk disclosure, essentially if you think that you have low, no, or high disclosure risk. And of course, what I'll do is review your entire proposal. As for Mary, beyond this, she can also discuss project goals that you may have. She can discuss with you external funding, possible graduate assistance, grant application information, as well as RDC proposal development facilitation and consortium policies. And thank you for your time. And we look forward to working with you soon. So thank you.